Okay, there's got to be something wrong with this microphone. There has to be. It's got to be broken. Are we broadcasting? 8 minutes ago, we put the call out, $3,643 out of $4,000. That leaves $357 remaining. And so, well, during the news break, Good Samaritan Crusaders will go into Chatroom, crusadechannel.com/donate, and will throw us over the top. I'll come back from the news and I'll say, we did it. We hit the January crowdfunding number. But instead, we got
0.0.
buckus. Nothing. I have never had to work this hard for a fundraiser in the history of my adult life. Now, I'm willing to do it. But man, we got to show some progress here. Good grief. They're on a free phone and now Free Farm Friday. And you all know why we're here, right?
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
I don't care if you wear a tutu. If you make a donation.
It's free phone.
Do it, do it, do it.
It's free phone.
Yes, it is a free phone and free farm Friday. Yay! Now, look, we know that you're not going to take me up on my kind, benevolent, beneficent offer. The use of these radio airways and make a call. Although you could. Should you decide to do so, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Far more likely, you'll just head into the Crusader Stadium chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat and communicate that way. That's fine. Donation link, crusadechannel.com/donate. You know, I got competition for donations now because you're all going to be going dashing off and buying maple syrup in a couple of minutes here. So I got to get the plug in before we get to the maple syrup. Okay, can we confirm this disclosed TV announcement?
Yeah.
It's real.
The lawyer sent out a letter.
Oh, okay. So, breaking! Don Lemon has been arrested.
Where?
He has been led off by federal marshals in handcuffs to some jail. Does it say where he was when he was arrested?
L.A.
Oh, he's in L.A.
Last night they arrested him.
So they got him in Los Angeles, California. And apparently there is a letter that is out from his lawyer. Statement from Abby Lowell, attorney for Don Lemon. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Don has been a journalist for 30 years. You're really stretching the... You keep using that word journalist. I don't think that word means what you think it means. For 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work was no different than what he has always done. There's no constitutional right to barge into churches and disturb people while they are praying. And they even passed a federal act called the FACE Act. You need to, knowledge up, pal. There is no more time important for important people like Don to do blah, blah, blah. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed two peaceful Minnesota protesters. don't you love how this? They were just just such wonderful people. They were just they were out for to a Tuesday walk and a Saturday walk, and just happened upon these evil bastard Nazis who were patrolling the streets in swastika uniforms. Yeah. The unprecedented attack on the First Amendment, transparent attempt to distract attention, blah, blah. John will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court, and you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You got to prove intent. You got to have motive, and then you got to prove causality, and then was there a crime committed? I read the FACE Act. He violated it. He absolutely violated. The only thing that is let to be questioned about this is whether or not, and I suppose that this is a possibility, whether or not you can convince a jury that he just happened, that he didn't know it was a church, and he just followed this wonderful group of First Amendment rioters into this building, and he thought it was, I don't know, what did he think it was? An Aldi store?
He spoke to the pastor. He knew it was a church.
He absolutely spoke to the pastor. He knew what he was doing, and he went in there with them. So, yeah, he has the right to go in there and cover. I'm pretty sure that they're going to find out in discovery that he had prior knowledge of where it was and where it was going. You know, if you know that a crime is about to be committed, there's a law for this, and you do nothing about it, and then you go and participate. I had the right as media to... You don't have the right as media to conspire with and cooperate in the commission of a crime. I'm pretty sure that's what Bondi got him on. So we'll see. He's arrested. Yay, justice. All right, $3,693, $307. Don't maybe get on a knee for $307, folks. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. All right. Let us go to the StreamYard maker hotline here. Let me balloon this page up. Tim Cermak of Sugar Bush Maple Farms and the Catholic Land Movement. What is that on your hat? Oh, that's a Catholic Land Movement cowboy hat. Look at that.
Yes, it is.
What, now, is that like can I get one of those?
Not yet. We sponsored a large event, and they ran out of booth spaces when we sponsored, so we had to stand out a different way. So we made these hats with patches and put them on there to stand out and talk up the land movement.
Well, where's your dad? You know, last year he was there with his sign.
He's at the dental office today. So it's just me.
Okay. All right, that's fine. That's fine. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mapleton and the Catholic Land Movement. Last year was a good year for Mapleton, yes?
Yeah, it was a pretty good year. It got a little too warm towards the end, so, we're always hoping for a little bit more, but it got too warm and we can't control the weather, so the trees started to bud and the sap was not sweet anymore, so that ended the season. So with this year's winter, we're looking good, and hopefully it's a nice long transition from winter to spring and summer, and that's when we can collect lots of maple sap and make some good syrup.
See, I didn't know that. We didn't cover that in the first 2 years. I didn't know that when the tree goes to seed, basically, then it stops making sweet. It still makes syrup, but just not sweet.
Yeah, so believe it or not, the trees aren't making maple sap, so we have something nice and tasty to put on our pancakes. So they're using it to make energy for their leaves. So when they bud, they're taking that sugar in the sap and using it as the energy to make those buds and eventually the leaves. So the two things that will end the maple season for us are either when it just stays warm outside, then the sap's up in the top of the trees where we can't collect it anymore, and then or if it starts to bud, they're turning that sugar into the energy. So the sap you collect after that point, not really sweet, not going to have a good flavor. So both of those will end the season for us.
Now, we obviously this winter are having record colds. So I would imagine then that the trees are going to go into serious, it's probably not hibernation is not the right word, but when it gets really, really cold, there's not a lot of activity. And then they're waiting for the signal, which is the warm weather to come. And then that's when you get the mapling. But even if you had like a kind of an off year last year, what did you produce? I mean, how was the production, relatively speaking?
Yeah, it was just a little below. It was like an average year, so
okay.
It's still good and enough for us to sell the syrup and do good and can't have enough until the next year. But not record breaking or anything like that. And yeah, dormancy is what they go into when it's cold like this, and it's nice to have good snow, good cold, let the trees really go fully dormant. And then the big question is just even if you have a big winter, it can still snap from winter to summer, spring pretty quick. So the big thing that we always hope for is a long, drawn out transition, lots of days where it's cold at night and warm in the day and back and forth. Because each time that happens, we can collect the maple sap.
So it almost sounds like whiskey, like bourbon making. When it goes into the barrel, you want it hot in the summer, hot as Hades, because then the barrel expands and all the whiskey goes in, and you want it cold, as cold as is possible during the winter, because then it squeezes the wet in. So it sounds like maple syrup production is pretty much the same: hot, cold, hot, cold.
Yeah, we love that back and forth, hot and cold.
Okay, so you're going to offer our listeners a deal again this year. Now, now you heard me. Look, I'm straining with these people. These people, our listeners this year, have never been so ham-fisted with their donation fund. So I hope that they have money left over for maple syrup. And what's the deal this year?
Well, the good thing with maple syrup is we can always sweeten the deal pretty easily. So what we got is the maple candy packs. So we'll throw in maple candy, and then we also have Catholic Land Movement prayer cards.
All right.
For a nice prayer in the back. So if you order and put in the code CHURCH, all caps, we'll throw those in for any order, any size. And then you go to the website, sugarbushcreekfarm.com. You can see a bunch of pictures of our farm, our family doing all the work out here up in Northeast Ohio. And then look and see all the different products. Got lots of maple, and you can even get the Mike Church size, a nice big gallon.
Wait a minute, I need that one.
Yeah, you need about 10 of these, Mike. I know you.
Well,
we got things a lot smaller and different too. And I know you guys like the whiskey, so you always get the little almost flask-looking one. And once it's done with syrup, fill it up with something else that you enjoy.
So that looks like almost like an old paint thinner can, like we used to have. But yeah, it'll double as a flask. In a pinch, that'll work. Okay, and of course, Tim's the Sugar Bush Maple Syrup Farm. Your stuff is actually 100% 100% Ohioan. I saw the other day. We won't mention any names, but in a pinch because we were waiting to do the interview. Of course, last Friday, all Hades broke loose. We didn't buy any maple syrup, and I told Mrs. Church, I'm like, look, just go get a little keg to hold us over because we're going to place our order today, obviously, as well. I looked at the label, and it says made in the USA. That's what it says on the front. And then if you flip the bottle around, guess what it says on the back? Contains product of Canada. And I went, that's like cheating. Wait, I don't want Canuck syrup. I want Ohio syrup.
Yeah, since all that we make right here, it's all right from the farm. All the woods we tap are right here. So I'm in the house doing this interview, and I can look through the window and see our maple trees. But there's a lot of farms that don't do that. They're getting sap from other people, or they're blending part of their syrup with part of someone else's, things like that. And for the bigger ones you're getting at grocery stores, definitely can be similar to other industries like wine, bourbons, liquors, all that stuff. It can be dirty secrets of it's 51% Ohio syrup, 51% whatever, and blend in some other things that are lower quality or just not from the area they're saying it's from. So it can definitely be tough on the labels for any food product. So best thing is always to get it from as close to you as possible. Make sure you can shake the farmer's hand, see the product, the animals, the trees. That's going to be your best way. Because even on the labels, things like organic or where it's from, might not always tell the full story.
Yeah, they're misleading. And of course, we've been talking about this on Free Farm Friday since 2020, since our first Free Farm Friday. I'll tell you something else. Before we met you guys, one of our listeners used to send us maple syrup from a farm in Vermont. And the only reason I bring it up, because I have a question with that, is he'd send us the garden variety, and I can't remember the name of the farm, but just a garden variety maple syrup. But then they had what they called their like golden reserve. And it came in a fancier, schmancier bottle. And I guess it was the best of the best. Is maple syrup like wine? Are there like vintage years that you can actually go like, wow, this year was actually really, really good?
Yeah, usually it's not quite as much year, but for each boil, so we collect the sap, and then once we have enough sap collected, we'll do the whole boiling process, and we take a sample and taste and grade each one of those. And it's nice. We have little glass maple leaf bottles that we put those up for the year, and you can see the color variation as the season goes on, and taste and know each one's a little bit different. And it is very much like wines and bourbons and things like that, where we will want to have a consistent medium grade maple that we're selling to people, so we can blend a little bit of light, a little bit of dark, and different batches together to get a consistent one. For the like reserve or the golden, the delicate, that's really good for making the maple candies. You want to have a
Oh,
nice light syrup with a lot of flavor. Some describe it as a little more vanilla like, so we use a lot of that grade that we make. Not selling it special. We do sell light and dark as separate sizes, but usually we're using the light for things like making maple candy, maple butter, maple sugar, and then the dark, it's really robust. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's really good for things like we partner with a local brewery that makes a beer with the dark. Bakers like it. The really robust flavor shines through if you're baking or brewing or doing other processes with the maple.
you know what? That's an education, Tim, because I don't think I asked that question in previous years. I think you might have mentioned that it does go into glass bottles and you look at it, but I don't think we got the explanation. So, folks, there you go. There's a crash course in maple in maple syrup. So the lighter the color, the kind of the sweeter, and the heavier the color. So you almost get like your light color, like corn syrup. You know, you used to get the clear Cairo, and then the really dark Cairo, and they have different applications and different purposes. Now I'm keen to know how a brewer uses maple. Do you know?
Oh yeah,
I don't think I've had a bourbon. I've had a maple casked bourbon, and then Crown Royal makes this absolute crap that they call maple flavor whiskey. I can't stand it. I don't like it. But I've actually had a bourbon that was done, well, not a bourbon, a whiskey that was done in a maple barrel. And it's quite a, of course, you smell it as soon as you open it up. But I'm not familiar with a maple beer. You're going to have to fill me in on that one.
Yeah, I can't reveal all his secrets, but he's, just like us, where he believes in quality ingredients are going to make a quality product. So for all of his beers, whether it's a IPA or anything else, he's trying to get quality ingredients and
Right.
as local as he can get. So for the maple beer, it's called Cherry Ave, and that's the street the brewery's on. And it's cherry puree, cherries from I think usually Michigan, vanilla beans, and then the maple syrup. So it's more of a sweet, sour type beer. Definitely not what people typically think of when they hear beer. It's not like a light beer or lager or something. It's very sweet and smoothie and fruity like, but it really shines through with the maple flavor. So we provide the maple for that.
That's amazing. So that it's the Cherry Ave Brewery. Is that what he calls it?
The brewery is 11-3 Brewery. They're in Chardon, just down the road from us. And the beer is Cherry Ave. And they've also done a stout with our maple, vanilla, and pecans. So it was like a pecan pie with maple, and that was a really good, nice, strong stout. So he's good at experimenting and making great beers with sometimes crazy ingredients and just making it really great.
Tim Cermak of Sugar Bush Maple Farms. Now, on the Free Farm Friday hotline here with us on StreamYard. Okay, give the website address out again. I want to make sure everyone has it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to make sure that we don't get interrupted by a silly break. So, what's the website address?
Yeah, the website is sugarbushcreekfarm.com. Go there, go to the shop page, and find all the maple you want, and then put in the code church, and we'll put in some maple candy, some Catholic Land Movement prayer cards, and really appreciate you guys supporting family business.
Okay, great. So I delayed the timeout because I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on in Ohio. Does Casey Putsch actually have a shot?
I think so, and at minimum, he's helping push the conversation in the right direction, bringing up all the points, because if you look at who's in our primary right now, there's really no good option for either party or any person in Ohio. No one that really represents our interests, what's going on in our area. And, a lot of them just have a lot of dirty luggage, dirty laundry. You can either go with someone who, well, either person was involved in locking down our state, a lot of bad policies, other things that are just not great. So Casey coming in really does appeal to a lot of Ohioans as, hopefully someone who truly does have a shot, but also someone who is an Ohioan and actually cares about Ohio.
He's like, what's the English guy's name? Jeremy, the car guy with the farm.
Oh,
I can't remember his last name. I almost said Jeremy Boring. I would have insulted him. I cannot believe that I cannot remember his name. It's it Clarkson. Gosh,
oh,
darn
yes.
it! Good grief, Mike. I gotta stop drinking. Jeremy Clarkson. Casey kind of reminds me of Jeremy Clarkson. It's like Miss Clarkson.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing that's
but-
really impressive with Casey is that he has presidential awards for the charity service he's done in teaching kids how to do mechanic and car work and things like that, and really provide a lot of service. It's usually underprivileged people who are going to his programs that do that. And so he's gotten ones from both Joe Biden and both Donald J. Trump. So it's pretty impressive to actually be doing service that's recognized outside of Ohio, in Ohio, versus either one of the other, already crowned in primary candidates are not recognized for that. They're, doing other things to try to get their endorsements and not doing charity that's really supporting Ohio.
Because he's Casey the car guy. And you'll find this out. Casey the car guy, and I'm looking at his website, Casey the car guy, and I'm going like, dude, that's like a 58 vet there. That's a 68 Chevelle S 442 convertible. I mean, man's got some amazing cars that he works on here. But I found Casey because you suggested. I went, oh yeah. So and then they actually contacted us. I think that there is a revolt that is going on, Tim, amongst many MAGA faithful people, and they don't want coronations. They do not want the GOP choosing their candidates. And we're not Democrats here. You're going to lead Hillary up there by, and put her on the stage and throw a crown on her. Biden, the same thing. Obama, the same thing. They actually want competition for good government. And I think, now, Vivek is a great, smooth talker. Everyone knows it. I wouldn't want to have to debate the guy. But he's not going to have an answer. There's a couple of things that I know that he's not going to have an answer for. One thing is COVID. Call him on that. And the second thing is he's not going to have an answer for his arrogance on H-1B. And I think that, especially for young people like you, because you are a young feller, I think that that is where national politics is going. The guy in Florida, you have James Fishback. There are going to be others now that are going to see this success. So I would love to see Ohio's Republican primary an actual contest, and hopefully it will be.
Exactly, because we don't want our beloved state of Ohio to turn into a home for data centers where we turn our farmland and the Midwest truly is great farmland turn into data centers that are sucking our water out and polluting communities. We don't want to be the Silicon Valley where we're just importing other states and other countries here. We want to have a beautiful future for families here in Ohio.
And my friend, I don't know if you know her, but Laura Brockaway is running for county council in Marshall County. And she would be a Catholic Land Movement type. She also would be, they had to fight in that county. They had to fight windmills and a solar farm. Mm-hmm. And they actually successfully fought it. They actually stopped it. Yeah, they stopped it. So it's not just happening in just isolated incidences. Of course, now you got Trump out there. His kids going out there. Windmills are stupid. We're not building them. We're not doing it no more. He talked about it yesterday, didn't he, Maggie? He said something about windmills yesterday. Yeah. He brought up again. He goes, these idiots in Europe don't have energy because they bought the Green New Scam. And as you mentioned, you have Republican candidates in every race in every state that are Green New Scammers. And it's like, do you people read? You know, one of the things that you learn by meeting people like you and others in Ohio, and you find this out in Michigan too, nearby Michigan. These states are very rural and very ag centered. Most people don't know that. Massive agriculture in Michigan. It's not just apples, it's all the hardwood trees and everything. Massive agriculture in Ohio. Not only do you have the mapling, you have all sorts of other commodity grains and stuff. So agriculture is huge. And hopefully someone like Casey Putsch can actually talk to that.
Yeah, I think he really will. He's resonating with a lot of people. And one of the side effects from the lockdowns a few years back is a lot of people got reconnected to the land and to agriculture. And, sometimes small ways, sometimes big ways. We know families who moved out from suburbs and the cities to the countryside wanting to raise their family in more of a country setting and get connected to the food chain and agriculture. And in smaller ways where the amount of people I know who live in suburbia right here in our area or further away that started raising chickens for the first time in their lives to have eggs fresh or get their kids involved in where their food comes from. All those things is astounding. So those numbers are definitely real and growing, and involving that in our elections is going to be very important.
Okay, we want to order maple syrup from Sugar Bush Maple Creek Farm. You want to do it today, and you got to use the coupon code CHURCH, CHURCHU, people. So you need to go, Tim, show them the goods and tell them where to go.
Go to sugarbushcreekfarm.com, get some nice syrup, put in the code CHURCH, and we'll throw in some candy and prayer cards. Get lots of syrup. It's really good stuff. So, again, sugarbushcreekfarm.com.
Sugarbushcreekfarm.com. Tattoo it on your foreheads. And now we have a reputation because the first year was the biggest one-day sale guy you guys ever had, and then last year was the biggest. It broke the previous record. I don't know.
Record, so.
Yeah, I don't know about today,
Let's see
dude.
if we can go 3 for 3.
Well, I'd love for it to be 3 for 3, but I have no indication that the audience is into anything this year other than themselves. So I hope that they're into maple syrup, and I hope that we break through. I hope I get a text message from you tomorrow going, dude, we did it again. Because that's what it was last year.
I believe in your listeners.
All right. Speaking of believing in listeners, talk about believing people. What about that Catholic land movement? You guys are, okay, the Pope, I didn't know that you were famously, or I guess famously, in that group that went and visited and had the audience with Pope Francis 2 years ago, last December. Right? I think it was 2 years ago, last December. And came back to the United States. How many chapters of the Catholic land movement are there now in the U.S.?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where the official number's at this second because it keeps going up, but it's somewhere over 60 official chapters with more in the works every day. So it's been incredible. And I believe we're at 5 right here in Ohio. So it's definitely growing, and great to see the different chapters helping support each other and sharing, what events work well or what different things need to be included as you start up a chapter and all of that.
Well, I think that the biggest boost that you could have gotten was the election of President Trump. I have heard RFK Jr. I've actually heard the term. Even Brooke Rollins has said it. I don't put a lot of stock in her, but she does have RFK. He's the actual boss. Say regenerative farming. I know that RFK Jr. is still in touch with Joel Salatin. I know that he is still in touch with Dr. Ryan Cole up in Montana. I know he's still in touch with Will Harris and with other regenerative farming guys. Now, they're not all Catholic land movement guys, but you guys are not yet, but you guys are all talking regenerative farming at the end of the day, which is what you guys do at Sugar Bush Maple, at your farm. And I think that you just need to reorder the incentive structure just a little bit. And then you have, instead of giving all the breaks and what have you to big ag, you got to stop that flywheel from turning, stop it cold dead, and you got to pay attention to the small regional farmers. And of course, a lot of them are going to be Catholic. And what people may not understand or may not know about, well, why should I join this Catholic land movement? Well, tell them why they should become a Catholic land movement member.
Yeah, so Catholic Land Movement's great because it truly does meet people where they're at. That you could have been farming your whole life, already have a family and have land, and you'll get a lot of community through the Catholic Land Movement. Or you could be starting out, young person, or just new to the idea of farming, didn't get raised in it, and all the pillars of the Catholic Land Movement will help you. So it's all about building Catholic community, peer-to-peer education. So we host lots of different workshops. So no matter what topic you're interested in, the odds are pretty high that someone in your area, in your chapter, will have some knowledge about that. And once you know they know something about it, if you're doing, say, chickens for the first time and all of a sudden you have an issue or a question, now you know that Joe from the parish down the road that gave that workshop, he can help you with that. Have resources geared towards helping people find properties, so rural resettlement. And then for the Catholics, something that truly is distinct about the organization is that it's very much rooted in the Catholic worldview, the sacramental mindset. And so everything that we do is geared towards the glorification of God, including prayer and sacraments, liturgy, all of that in our different workshops and conferences. So the Catholic Land Movement, each chapter looks a little bit different, but you're going to gain great friends, great knowledge, build a community, and strengthen your faith.
Every time I think Catholic Land Movement, I think of that beautiful French painting of the husband and wife in the field.
Yes,
the Angelus. So you knew it immediately as soon as I said it.
One of the most beautiful things of the conference is there's conferences that are 2-3 days, and there's liturgy of the hours and the mass and all that. But when it becomes noon, if you're in the middle of a workshop or you're walking around, you're gonna hear a bell ring, or you're gonna be standing next to someone who's like, "Hey, it's noon. Let's pray the Angelus." And that growing up, that was not part of the faith out here in Northeast Ohio. You don't hear bells ringing for the churches or things like that. So getting involved in that, very much tradition of our faith that goes back so many generations is beautiful and really strikes the heart.
Well, when I was at the movement where I met you, at Edelweiss,
Yes.
I gave the little Friday evening talk about the beauty of the Catholic bell, and how when I was in France in 2019, in that summer with Charles Coulomb and Joseph Pierce and Fiorella and all the other people that were there, that little town of Chavagne was run by that bell. That bell told you, it rang every hour on the hour. While I was there, somebody died, and we got the actual for whom the bell tolls. You actually got the death toll. The bell is very important, and it would be great to see or to hear that. Oh, this Catholic Land Movement, they actually reopened this church, or they may didn't reopen it, but they reopened the bell. And
when you eventually come out to the farm, my brother bought a bell. It's not a church bell. It's from an old school in Ohio, but it's a nice big bell, and we mounted it in the sugar house. So typically when we're starting to boil and doing the maple, we ring that bell a few times, and it's got that beautiful ring that, no speaker can imitate that. And you can come out and hear our bell, and hopefully one of these days we can get one of the priests to bless that bell to really get the full effect.
Well, to get it blessed like a church bell takes a day.
Yeah.
But just sprinkling a little water on it and doing a St. Benedict, exorcism, a minor exorcism on it would be fantastic. Okay, folks, maple syrup, sugarbushcreek.com, sugarbushcreek.com. Go there, put the code is church, CHURCH, all caps.
Yes.
Go there and put the code in, get a free little sack of maple candies, which and they are really good. I mean, they didn't last a day. As soon as we opened, they're gone. So you may want to buy more than. So if you buy 2 kegs, are you gonna? Or do they get 2 candies?
We'll probably throw in some extra, of course.
Yeah, there you go. See?
We know how to sweeten the deal.
Okay. A couple of prayer cards from the Catholic Land Movement. Final question. So, Sugar Bush Creek Farm, code church. Sugar Bush Creek Farm, code church. Break the record, you people. Break it today. Even if you don't need it, just order and give it away. Just order and give it away.
It lasts a long time, but it shouldn't.
Clear the shelves.
Stuff to put it on. Yeah.
It lasts a long time, but it shouldn't.
It lasts a long time, but it shouldn't. I love that. Did you place your order, Maggie?
Placing it right now.
Sure, we're placing ours. Can you get the big one, please?
I'm getting 2 big ones.
Two big ones. Okay, all right.
Well, the first year I did this with you, I was home alone, and people started calling the home phone number from listening to this as we were still live, trying to place an order. So your listeners pay attention.
A different kind of home alone.
Yeah.
Okay. The final question. I want to go back to the Catholic land movement. First of all, where does one go to learn about the Catholic land movement?
Yeah, so go to the website, catholiclandmovement.info, and on there you can learn about it. And then there is a page called Find a Chapter, and there you can look at the map, see if there's one near you. If there is, perfect. If there's not, maybe you're called to start one or get connected to one that's a little bit further away. And there's a little form you can put in your information, and it will send that to the chapter you select. So find that one nearest to you. Also go on the different social medias. We're pretty active on Twitter and some of the other ones to find out more.
Okay, I want you to talk just for a moment. Final question. I want you to talk a little bit more. I heard you say land acquisition. This is important. It's probably the most important thing. We have governors in states now and state legislatures. They're going like, if you're a Chi-Com, you can't come in here. You can't come in here and buy land. We're not going to let you. Blackstone and BlackRock are being eliminated. Can't purchase single-family homes. The time has now come. It's almost like, I don't want to use the word co-op, but it's almost like it's a co-op. You find 100 acres, go, dude, I can't farm 100 acres. Can you farm 10? So find 10 people that can each do 10, and then, this is not out of the realm of a possibility, and it may even be something that was previously done. It might have been done in between families because you had 10 kids. Okay, well, you don't have 10 kids anymore, but maybe you have 5 families or 4 families. What do you guys do? Are you looking for people that have property? What is the land acquisition part? Because this is new to me.
Yeah, so it's the first. There's 4 pillars for the Catholic land movement, and rural resettlement is the first one. So
Okay.
you need to have Catholic families on property before you can, really dive fully into farming. There are other things you can get involved at any point. Like we do sourdough workshops, and you could be a college student living in an apartment and learn that. But the end goal of helping people get families on land is very vital to it. So for our chapter here in Northeast Ohio, primarily Geauga County, we're blessed with a lot of Catholic families already on property. So this is probably the pillar we focus on the least right here. But it's great because the Catholic land movement's got a lot of projects that we're either fully doing or that we're working with other groups that are doing these more community-based ones as well. So there's things like Andrew, who's one of the other main national leaders. He has a group called Verix Patria, which is another charity that is working on more creative ways to help with financing that, families that are good Catholic families aren't usually going to have the insane finance you need to be able to buy a large farm at this current time in our culture. So we're working on creative ways to help them get back to the land or build those networks of, there might be a older couple at a parish that doesn't want to just sell their farm to the highest bidder. They want to sell it to a good Catholic family within the parish, or
Right.
who want to move to their parish. So helping connect them together, all of these different ways. So there's partner organizations with the Catholic land movement like Verix Patria. There's also the land movement itself isn't really doing planned communities like you were saying with 10 families on 100 acres, but we support that and are wanting to work with groups that do that. So there's a handful of different planned communities in the works that are really working strongly with the land movement to identify best practices, talk about farming, connect families, pool resources, things like that. So it's definitely very important, and we're trying to get creative to surmount the challenges that there are a lot of legal and practical barriers to it. But like you said, it's not impossible, and it's what we're called to do the extraordinary. And a lot of those projects are making good headway, and it's great to see people put their money where their mouth is and really buy into the concept. So, like I said, it's not as big of a thing for our chapter because we have a lot of families that are Catholic already on land, but connecting them together has been really important and vital, build that fellowship here. But outside of here, in this area, we know it's a big challenge that lots of families are facing. So we're trying to help build those communities, those connections together.
All right, Tim Cermak of Sugar Bush Creek Farm. So go to the website, sugarbushfarm.com. Coupon code CHURCH, all caps. Sugar Bush Creek. Do you have it in the
Bush
chat
Creek
room?
Farm.
Sugar Bush Creek Farm.
Yes.
.com. And there's your maple candies there.
Buy some maple, get some prayer cards, and give us a follow on the different social medias. You can see all the behind the scenes of the farm work. We're in the process of tapping, and we post all kinds of stuff sharing what's going on at the farm.
All right, Tim, thank you. Year number 3 in the can. Thanks to Andrew Yule and Michael Jadis, the Catholic Land Movement as well, because they're also the other voices behind that end of our conversation, and so many other people as well. Tim, God bless you and Mary keep you. Our order is in. Is yours, folks? Sugar Bush Creek Farm.com.
Yes.
Coupon code CHURCH. Tim, we'll see you next year, if not sooner.
God bless. Great to see you again.
All right, God bless you. Great to see you, as always. Folks, I put a timeout off, and we're going to go ahead and take that timeout now and come right back with the rest of Free Phone Friday. We got to get some donations going here, too. We got to hit the mark. Come on, y'all. I want to announce January crowdfunding is done. For heaven's sake, will someone please throw us over the top? CrusadeChannel.com/donate.
And of new Christendom and the trad wives who love them.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, January 30th, 2026. And this report is brought to you by the Crusade Channel 2.0 app, which is the best way to listen to the KingDude ever, and installation is so easy. Open up a browser on your device, go to crusadechannel.com/app, tap the download button, then open the app. It's literally that easy. In the market report, the Dow was up a little, 0.11%. The S&P down a little, 0.13%. NASDAQ climbed 0.72%. Today on the National Day calendar is National Fun at Work Day, so today you're supposed to have a little fun at work today. It's also National Bigwig Day, and it's Escape Day, encouraging you to take a break today. And the day isn't about running away from responsibilities. They say it's a day about making time to reset ourselves after the winter holidays and cold stretch of January. It's also National Croissant Day. Credit for the croissant we know today is given to an Austrian military officer, August Zang. In 1839, he opened a Viennese bakery in Paris, introducing France to Viennese baking techniques. Our quote of the day: we should not accept in silence the benefactions of God, but return thanks for them. Saint Basil the Great. You can learn all about today's Saint of the Day in the Saint of the Day podcast at crusadechannel.com. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
Hi, folks. It's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Spirit of 76. The Spirit of 76 details the true story of the writing and ratifying of the U.S. Constitution.
Who authorized them to speak the language of we, the people, instead of we, the states? States are the characteristics and the soul of a confederation. If the states be not the agents of this compact, it must be one great...
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and is packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Spirit of 76 on a 2-DVD or 3-CD set. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
Only the Crusade Channel brings you the Saint of the Day read by actual nuns.
Really? Our sisters are actual sisters?
Yes, and you can catch their heavenly voices announcing the Saint of the Day on the Crusade Channel.
Oh, you boomers and your live broadcasts. I'm a busy girl. Sure, I'm very important only in my own mind, but can I get them as podcasts?
I'm not a boomer. And yes, all Saint of the Day recordings are available as mini podcasts on our app and at crusadechannel.com.
I see saintly binge listening in my future. I feel holier already.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
too much heaven, you know it. All right, welcome back. Folks, we need $257 to hit 4,000. 257, 257. Is that you? CrusadeChannel.com/donate. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. And I am perfectly happy with, KingDude, I can't do two things at once. I got to go and get my Sugar Bush maple syrup. Deal's good all weekend. Sugar Bush Creek Farm.com, coupon code church. So it's always great to have wait a minute. Well, looky here, look what just happened here. As I went to go refresh the browser, I didn't even need to. Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. $4,025 hath been reached. Woohoo! Thank you. Of course, you can continue donating. We obviously will take it. But somebody just kicked in. What's that?
But get you some syrup.
Yeah, but go ahead and get you. Yes, thank you for the for the reminder to get the syrup. Who threw us over the top?
It looks. Like
I'm trying to get this. It looks like the site has.
It was Andrew Smith.
Good. Yeah, the site's very busy right now. Andrew Smith, Raymond Salazar, Bob and Julie Kopkin, Tom and Ann Dolan, Matt Watson, Foghorn, Tony Craven, and Jeffrey Corson. Thank you. All right, so we are there, and that is fantastic. Now you can go to sugarbushcreekfarm.com and stock up on your maple syrup. You know, we really did eat that maple candy like that. He sent us maple butter, too, didn't he?
I ordered maple butter.
Okay, so we bought maple butter last year. We used it. It goes...
More.
It's
really good on toast in the morning.
It goes so quick. All right. I started the program today, gave you the headlines and what we talked about. Didn't talk about, we talked about social media, talked about the fact that Eric Sammons and others have left X and others. Talked about the deranged lunatic women that are now apparently occupying and controlling Instagram, or Insta, as most of the young girls call it. And I did not talk about, and I wanted to talk about it, play number 4. Digital media file number 4. Well, I want Magdalene Rose to hear this. So that's why I went to it before her. So this is Howard Lutnick at the cabinet meeting yesterday where Dustin the Wind was the star. But this, I was talking to Mike Parrott yesterday, and Parrott thinks that the crash is coming. It may be. There is one thing, though, that would lead a serious and real recovery, a lasting recovery, and it's this. Not that, the soundbite. The post-show show is on.
Yesterday, they reported for the first time in 26 years, the United States of America produced more steel than Japan. And that is entirely driven by your tariffs.
Amazing.
Think of that.
Now, I want to riff on this for just a second. The book that I am reading and is changing my business perspective in life is called Good to Great by Jim Hollis. One of the companies that is profiled as a good to great company is a company called New Corp. Now, he wrote the book in 2000, so this is 26 years ago. But New Corp, doesn't sound like it, but New Corp was a steel company. New Corp's genius idea, and I think that in the era of Trump, you're going to see genius ideas like New Corp's and others. New Corp's genius idea was we don't have to build these monolithic mega forgeries or foundries to process steel. We can build smaller ones in rural areas, and the people that used to be farmers, by and large, will come and work. And many of them will be entrepreneurs and will want to open the steel mills. There's no reason, because we have the iron ore here. We don't have to buy it from anyone. You can dig it out of the ground. There's no reason in the United States of America, which was once the envy of the planet when it came to steel manufacturing, cannot lead the world in steel, and again, cannot lead certainly the United States. Why would you need imported cheap steel? You know, I've seen the conversations in the chat room about Chinese steel and sometimes Japanese steel and other steels. That, you know, like the auto parts that they make out of them, for example, they make them to break because the steel is so cheap. The iron is cheap. There's no need to do that when you have the steel here. So Lutnick saying that we, for the first time in 26 years, have made more steel than the Japs. That's a big thing, Magdalene Rose, and I want to hear more of it.
Well, I want to hear more of it, too. And living in Pittsburgh and the outsides of that area, steel mills are very much still a thing. They're very profitable. They employ a lot of people. And I don't really understand our hatred for them in this country. I think we've bought into the propaganda that they bring bad job systems, that they're bad for young men to do. My husband has a lot of friends who are steel workers from when we lived there, and they have very profitable jobs. There's room for scaling. It's like the ultimate industry thing. But it is not a job that you can necessarily do if you're not physically strong. And I think the snobbery around that has limited the growth of it. But there's one thing Trump loves, is he loves strong guys doing manly jobs.
Yeah, you're right. And there is Vivek Ragaswamy, Magaswamy. He's not Magaswamy. Vivek Myself-a-Swamy. Oh, I'm going to call him that. Vivek Myself-a-Swamy. Vivek H1B-a-Swamy. There's so many different ways. It lends itself to that kind of snobbery. I'm not going to get my hands dirty. I am not going to get... These are Cavaricci jeans. I'm not... These shoes are Bruno Magli shoes. And I'm going to get my Bruno Magli soiled from a steel factory, you dolt. Yeah, there is that snobbery, but truth be known, this was taught. We taught 3 generations of children to not get dirty. To the point where we even told the boys, don't go play in the ditches. You're not allowed to go outside. Don't go, you know, the old Peyton Manning joke, rub some dirt on it. Instagram 28 to 40-something-year-old moms today, don't rub dirt on it. You'll catch cootie. You'll get a disease. You're going to have to take it to the emergency room. The old rub some dirt on them adage was something that every American boy and every American mom could probably appreciate once upon a time. You have 2 or 3 generations where you can appreciate that. So we told them not to get dirty, Magdalene. We told them, no, you don't. You want to play air guitar at the water cooler during the lunch break because you had to take a break from your boardroom meetings that you were attending to outside of your cubicle. Why in dude's name did we ever sentence entire generations of young men and then young women to go and toil in misery and these things called cubicles is beyond me, but it needs to come to an end, and hopefully maybe it is.
I think it's on track to, because people don't want to be in cubicles. They're terrible. They're really, really awful. I have friends who work in that system or in school systems, and it's not fun. So when Vivek and others, and it's not just him, I think that there's a feeling in the Republican Party of elitism towards these types of not just machinery jobs, but they require physical body strength. That's a distinguishing thing. They're not just assembly lines. They require actual physical body strength. When you knock that, when you make fun of it, you cause a lot of anger between classes. And I think America is much more class divided than it is racially divided, especially with the explosion of influencers. So when there's a new steel mill that opens up in the outskirts, not outskirts in a bad way, but the surrounding areas of Pittsburgh, they cannot keep those jobs open. People flock to them. They want to be in them. That shows you what the desire in the U.S. economy is, and it isn't another tech startup. It's those types of jobs, because they also become high-paying. You can go from being on assembly line to being a stager to being people in inventory. There's scalability, and you don't have to be in college debt to get that scalability.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. And you know what? A trade school, you're probably, if you're going to go to a Votech or a trade school, you're probably not going to go in debt. And you could probably do it while working another job. You know, I've talked about this before. I got into a little bit of a row with the chancellor of the University of New Orleans about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, because I suggested when Governor Jindal was still governor, I suggested that one of the things that the Louisiana legislature ought to do was it ought to turn part of the Louisiana State University school system, and they still should do this, and they haven't done it. I don't know, maybe they have a program or two. I haven't kept up with it, but you should turn your Texas A&M should do this. You should do this in every state. You should turn part of your school system, of your college system, turn it into basically open the trades, open the shops back up. And if you don't have them, build them, or find warehouses that you can rent cheap and build it and bring the shops back. And then go to the companies, the steel mill companies, the companies like Weyerhaeuser or Georgia Pacific or whatever that are going to do cutting of the trees down, and the arbory industry or the forestry industry, even the hotel motel, restaurant services industry, whatever it may be, electrical, plumbing. Go to them and say, look, we opened this trade school up at Louisiana State University in New Orleans. We call it UNO. You can actually go and sponsor a student. And if you find a student that's willing to make the deal with you, you make it. We don't make it. You make the deal. You can, the legislature can make this legal. You can make a contractual agreement with that kid. You will give them a full ride 2-year Votech trade school scholarship. You will pay for it. In exchange, when they graduate, you got to come work for me for 4 years. Here's your first 2 years guaranteed salary. I'm going to pay you this. After that, then you are eligible for promotion or for raise or whatever. That's how you do that. You get business involved with education, who gets involved with students, who gets involved with parents. Everyone now has a little skin in the game, and now you're making crap in America again.
Well, you could do that under a Republican. We could have that kind of success. I just think it takes being courageous. As much as Republicans may push trade school, at the end of the day, unless they go into the military, the children of senators, of congressmen and women, of governors, they tend to go to college. So there is a feeling of you're saying all of that is great, but you're not actually living it out. And that's the difference there. And I think that if you had more Republicans in office, this is a generational divide, though. If you have Republicans in office whose children, who are 40 now, and they might have a son that's 18, he might go into trade school. But Republicans in office who are 60, 70, and over, their kids aren't typically in trade school. It'd be great to have that generational switch over in some areas.
No, it would. And, there are certainly enough Republican governors. You have, 32 or 33 of them? It's not like you don't have them. There is a majority of states are run by Republican governors. I want to switch gears here. Here come the Democrats again, trying to kill the SAVE Act. This is just suicidal and stupid. You cannot go outside of your little world of left-wing Instagram agitating blue sky lunatics and make the case that people should not prove who they are to decide the outcome of these things called elections. And I even think that your moderate independent is not a fan of this. As a matter of fact, I know they're not, because it polls well. Outside of the Democrat Party, it polls well. These idiots, though, for some reason, again, just Mike Johnson must be buying baskets of candies and sending bouquets of roses and flowers over to the U.S. Senate. These idiots seem to think that selling the elections to the highest bidder, who don't have to prove identification, all you have to do is prove humanity, is a way to, you just think about that just on the surface of what I just said. That's a stupid way to run this thing called a democracy. And yet, here's Mark Kelly, Digital Media File number 12, talking about it, and they're like, there's nothing to see here in Fulton County. If there's nothing to see here, then it's not a news item. Move along. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Think about Republicans in the House talking about attaching the SAVE Act to the DHS funding bill if it is amended.
Well, I think it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's consistent with what we've seen. They just sent the FBI to raid Fulton County election office there. So I'm not surprised. They want to make it harder for people to vote, and they want to continue, Donald Trump's, bullshit story about how his election was stolen in 2020.
And what do you
So
make?
you're against proof of citizenship or identification to vote in elections?
Hey, no, that legislation, has, it is an effort to make it hard for Americans to vote.
What do you make?
Okay, this is a stupid argument. It's not an effort to make it hard to vote. It's an effort to make the vote that you actually do work to go and make count.
Well, I think that's true. And a lot of times what we're seeing here now is that there is a kind of breakdown between the two visions of America. So when you interview people like Fishback or Casey's members of his team, you're seeing a very populist right-wing position on America. The other side of it isn't like that. I don't know if you saw the Jeremy Boring interview. He's one of the people who co-founded the Daily Wire. That was quite an interesting interview, because he's basically saying that these more populist right-wing people are trying to reconstruct American government. Not that there's divides in positions or anything, but that they want to create a post-constitutionally based America. So when you see that divide, I think people like Fishback and others are being unfairly put into that category. We're not trying to create a different constitutionally based America. We're just wanting to enforce the things we have in the Constitution to protect them.
I thought Donald Trump changed the entire landscape of our politics and how you win elections and how you talk about things. It began in 2015, 2016, and then it culminated in 2024. The Democrat Party has been running around about things being difficult with this nonsense of making it difficult to vote since the 1990s. They still have not a single solitary new idea. You're supposed to change with the times. Apparently, they think everyone is a 75-year-old, someone that voted for Bill Clinton, and that's how you're going to win the future. I just think it's short-sighted and it's stupid. Now, you mentioned Jeremy Boring and the people that call themselves Republicans and people like him. This has to be the most ridiculous yet revelatory little clip here. It's only 20 seconds long.
You say people tell you that they listen to Candace. I had a guy tell me recently, he said, what should I say to my wife? She keeps telling me about things that she hears Candace say, and I don't even know how to respond to them. I said, well, I would just respond by telling her fun things that you saw in some porno video that you watched.
I would tell her to respond. Now, you're talking to supposedly MAGA Republicans, and you're going to tell your wife you saw fun things in a porno video you watched? First of all, this man is sick. The fact that he was running the Daily Wire would pretty much tell you about what was going on at Corporate Central at the Daily Wire. Second of all here, he's not talking to Democrats. He's not talking to Jennifer Welch and that crowd. He thinks he's talking to Vivek Magaswamy's crowd.
Well, he does. And Jeremy Boring is interesting because he did have an interesting business model. He was sort of breaking that ceiling a little bit back in 2010 and others. So you can have both things. You can have been ahead of the curve at one point and now no longer there, and now stuck in some like weird effort to not really move things forward but move them forward to your own push. And his criticism of Candace Owens is fascinating to me because he said she's not really an ideological person. She has said to him she believes what the people believe. She's the voice of the people. I think that's true. I think that she's not particularly ideological, but is basing her ideology on what she thinks people find the most interesting. So I could see that with her. But his criticism of Tucker Carlson is different. He's saying that Tucker Carlson and people in his model, meaning James Fishback and others, are all trying to reassess America's constitutional basis and turn it into something that's a little bit nefarious, that doesn't really prescribe to individual freedom, because they blame individual freedom for where we got here. So if you're looking at what Donald Trump has done to the Republican Party, I don't think it was as great, as giant rather, as you and I maybe thought. I think we're even now fighting back against the neocon takeover, even when it should be assured that we've won.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that Boring is correct?
No, my point is Boring is lying. He's saying
Okay, all right. I was trying to understand.
This effort with Tucker Carlson. Yeah.
That would lead me then to Kylie Griswold at thefederalist.com and his piece about these lunatic women that are apparently now controlling Instagram. Now, is Instagram such a factor now that regardless of what party you're in, you have to factor it in your calculus to win an election? And if it is, well, number one, how did that happen? And number two, how can you unmake that? But Kylie's point is this. She says 4 things. First, the sheer volume of these lunatics running around saying that Renee Good was in line for being canonized and that she was targeted and was run over and then shot by a cop, and that, the Preddy, Alex Preddy, was the nicest, kindest, sweetest boy that anyone ever knew. He never swatted a fly in his life, and ICE went looking for him. This is the second time they tried to kill him, because that's what they're saying. They tried to kill him once before and they failed, so they just went back and they found another opportunity and ICE took him out. She says, first, the sheer volume is troubling. As a conservative Christian, I probably follow a disproportionate number of right-coded accounts, and my feed is still dominated by anti-ICE rage bait. Some of it from brainwashed leftists, but much is from self-described Christians who have outsourced their critical thinking to the outrage algorithm. 2, the Gish Gallop. The false information flies so fast and furiously that it's nearly impossible to counter every fake narrative. 3, the people posting are women with influence. Not all are professional influencers with massive social media platforms, but the posters include moms, teachers, social workers, students, therapists, coaches, administrators, nurses, lawyers, camp counselors, marketers, and more. They get their, quote, news, close quote, from Instagram. And then 4, and this is 4th, and perhaps most alarmingly, the Instagram army hasn't learned a thing. The same people who fell for Black Lives Matter and the performative Black Square, putting pronouns in their bios, believe all women, defund the cops, vax and mask if you love your neighbor, my body, my choice, the Russia hoax, J6 insurrection, gender-affirming care, free Palestine, land acknowledgement, Handmaid's Tale, Trump Christian nationalist, the very fine people hoax, abortion saves lives, Charlie Kirk was a racist, Brett Kavanaugh's a rapist, Trump is a rapist, blah, blah, blah. These are the same women who are saying these hideous, heinous things now on Instagram. Has Zuckerberg and Meta let this place become a haven for left-wing female insane asylum future residents?
A little bit, yeah. It's not great. Instagram is tricky because Instagram, in some ways, is the most informal of them. But the problem with Instagram now is if you're posting political content, it doesn't get out unless someone big who already has a following reshares you. That's not how it was before. So I think that the liberal takeover of Instagram is happening because they want to define Instagram as a non-political place. I disagree that you need to prioritize Instagram in your political campaign. I think it's the platform you need to prioritize the least. I think it's going to have the least impact. Facebook is good for local mobilization and organization. TikTok can help you go viral and get your message out. But I don't really see what Instagram adds on a political basis. If anything, candidates are better abandoning it and investing in Facebook, X, and TikTok, because Instagram is just it really has become like a fashion, girly content place it's not particularly intellectually rewarding.
It almost sounds like at the end of its life, 18. Almost sounds like what at the end of its life, unfortunately, the Southern League and the Junior League and other debutante entities became irrelevant. Now, I hope they come back and become relevant, but I don't even use. The only reason I even have an Instagram account is because of you. I could give a crap about going to Instagram, but in the media landscape, you have to. Okay, fine. Well, we'll do it here. I want to switch gears to Mark Kelly's point and other Democrats. There's nothing to see here. There was nothing that happened on that night in November of 2020. Well, that is just not true. It's not true. Something did happen. Everybody knows that it happens. And I'm just wondering, do Democrats really believe their own line of BS, or do they just have to toe the line and hoping that a court doesn't say that something actually happened before October of this year? Because I was there on election night 2020. You were there. Mike Parrott was there. Don from the Bronx was there. Richard Barrett was there. We were there. We all saw in real time what happened. Here's a little refresher course. This is from the November the 3rd and November the 4th.
In this election, but we shall see, is Georgia, and that state's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is with us now. Mr. Secretary, good morning on a busy morning. I guess the big question is, Hoda?
Yeah, we want to know, when are we going to get your votes? When are we going to find out who's won your state?
Well, we have about 2% left to go. We had great success yesterday. We had 4.7 million voters that voted. Record breaker for us, beats the 4.1 in 2016. We also had average wait time of only 2 minutes, statewide average. We have about 2% left to go. And you can see where we are right now with the results that have been reported. I don't think it'll change any of the outcomes, but that's what really people that make those predictions
Stop
do.
the tape
what
quickly.
We'll do
Just
is
pause. If you're listening to this and you can't see it, Trump is projected to win Georgia. That's what he's saying. 2% can't change the outcome. Roll.
Well, that was interesting, though. We were just getting to the good part there because the Secretary of State said they got 2% left to count, Chuck.
I can't hear you.
They cut him off.
Oh, they cut him off. Oh, so they cut him off. Raffensperger saying
outcomes, but that's what really people that make those predictions do. What we'll do is get.
Well, that was interesting, though. We were just getting to the good part there because the Secretary of State said they got 2% left to count, Chuck. But he did not think it would change the outcome.
That's interesting.
But then he deferred to the prognosticators, which I think is over to you.
I am totally lost.
The whole point of that was on live air. He's talking about how the next 2% is not going to make any difference.
That's what I said.
Trump is going to win the state, and then all of a sudden they
He gets cut off,
and then they talk later, and then they keep talking, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2% comes in, and he's won.
And Biden has won. So Magdalene, that's how it happened in Pennsylvania. That's how it happened. Remember at the Cobo Center in Detroit, they put the newspaper up on the windows. I can't be the only one that remembers that they had ladders and they had poll workers that were taping newspaper to the windows, to the glass windows surrounding the room where the Michigan poll workers were supposedly counting all the fair ballots in here. Everyone knows what happened here. They're going to count these votes in Georgia. And the reason that the AG or whoever went in there, because the judge signed off on this. The FBI got the warrant because a judge said, yeah, there's enough evidence or enough suspicion here to think that those ballots actually may be evidence in a criminal proceeding. That's why they went and got them. This wasn't Trump sending Tulsi Gabbard down there to go flash her badge and say, fork it over. She had the FBI had a court order in their hand.
Well, they did, and I remember that 2020 election night. And it was kind of like every time I got something to eat or I went to bed, I woke up and Trump had lost 1 million votes. And it was a very odd system that was happening here. And what I remember thinking at the time was, wow, Biden and his team don't seem concerned at all. Typically, if you're in that situation, I've watched countless documentaries on the Al Gore and Bush race in early 2000. You see the tension in both camps, the readiness to fight, the confusion of what's going on. You don't see that reflected in the 2020 race, and I think that's because they knew they didn't have to worry. You see it on Trump's side, his confusion, his team's confusion. I've seen the shots from the White House photographer of the change in election results and his people's faces changing. So I welcome any effort to find out the truth to secure elections, and I do credit this with our new FBI deputy director, because I would have thought this is something Dan Bongino would lead on, but Dan Bongino seemed genuinely too overwhelmed for the role. Maybe you need real law enforcement people to get real law enforcement answers.
Well, and I think that there is a law enforcement action here. You know, they had all kind of hearings in Georgia. I guess everyone has forgotten about this. The dude that invented the QR code, I can't remember his name. He was one of the star witnesses that the Republicans in the Georgia legislature were bringing in when they were trying to get Raffensperger and others to turn the ballots over. Now, remember, at every stage and at every crossroads, the state of Georgia, the Secretary of State, the Fulton County Elections Commission refused to allow any access to the physical ballots. The only thing that they would allow is basically an audit, which was a counting of the total number of ballots and then the total number of votes. They would never allow anyone to actually physically see the ballots. The guy that invented the QR code, Maggie, what's it, Jorgen something or other. Dude was giving testimony because he's going like, look, I invented the damn code. And I'm telling you how the code, because I think they were using QR codes, he said, I'm telling you how the code works on a ballot. And what they're saying about the code is not true. Now, this was happening in real time. And of course, when Trump makes the famous phone call to Brian Kemp and to Brad Raffensperger, he's in Florida, which means you can't use it in a criminal proceeding. That's one thing. Stupid Jack Smith apparently didn't know. And the second thing is, if you listen to the entirety of the call, not the 11 seconds that they play as the highlight reel, where I need you to go and find me 11,283 votes. If you listen to the entire call, it's informational. He's asking questions. He's going like, look, we were in the lead. How is it even possible? You know, my people are telling me that there's no statistical possibility that we could have lost in your state outside of something fishy happening in Fulton County. So he's asking questions, and they're going like, no. And that's when he gets to the line, and he goes like, well, you know, there has to be. If you counted, his point here was, if you counted 100 some odd thousand votes for Biden and none for me, there has to be 11,000 some odd votes out there that you can find that are for me. That's the point that he was making. He was not saying go and steal however many votes I need. He was saying, you all of a sudden counted all these votes for Biden, now count them for me. I think that the court order that Democrats are never terrified until they're actually on their way to jail. I think that the court order and the fact that they now have physical possession, there's no way out of this one for your Democrat Party cheaters. Now, does this take down Raffensperger with them? I don't know. Somebody is going to fry for this. And again, somebody that's working for Trump, you're going to go back to Stephen Miller and Bregno, whatever the hell his name was, Garcia, when he went out and he confidently said, this guy is the right guy. He should be deported. Trust me on this. They knew. They vetted before they did. So my thing is, I'm more inclined to believe that they vetted before they got a judge to sign off and said, go get the ballots.
Well, I think that's true. And one of the problems that Democrats have is that post-COVID, anyone's belief in any system of anything is gone. So if you're standing there and you're saying, how dare Republicans look into something? How dare they evaluate something? Even if you're a Democrat who genuinely believes that Joe Biden completely won and that there's nothing slimy there, you don't believe that no one took advantage of their power during COVID. And I think that we don't talk about the COVID fallout enough. There's an entire generation of young people who missed the last 2 to 3 years of high school, which are extremely formative, that many of them then chose to do college online because they didn't know anything else. And now they are completely like tech locked in, digital locked in. So that's the generation you're dealing with. They tend to be much more prone to conspiracy theories. And by conspiracy theories, I mean true evaluation of a government narrative. So if you're upset that Trump is looking into what happened in past elections, trying to secure future ones, then you shouldn't have abused your power during COVID and locked down like well over 200 million Americans just for your own ends.
Put another way, is Mark Kelly dumb enough to believe that somebody in his party is telling him, no, don't worry about it, Senator. No, the whole thing was on the up and up. That's pretty stupid.
I can't imagine. Mark Kelly strikes me as a very stupid man.
Oh, he's very
stupid. I know everyone's supposed to hold him in high regard and all this. I've never gotten it. I think he's a slime ball. I don't understand the big fascination with him. They tried to create this like John McCain 2.0 kind of thing, but I didn't understand.
As if that's a good thing.
John McCain. I didn't get the big deal about John McCain. I remember being like 9 or 8 years old during that 2008 race and thinking like, well, Obama seems like he's got something to say. Like, if there's a way to find out if your candidate is interacting well with people on TV, put a child in front of it and say, which of these guys do you think is more friendly? If your candidate loses every single time, it maybe isn't a great candidate. That was the lesson for me with John McCain versus Obama.
Okay, a couple of things. The QR code inventor's dude's name is Jovan Pulitzer. He was the one that was testified. He testified in Arizona, he testified in Pennsylvania, and he testified in Georgia about the codes and the code system that Dominion was using, and that it was not accurate and absolutely could be hacked. 1. 2. Just breaking news just came out. Luigi Mangione will now not face a federal death penalty. The death penalty is off the table. This punk walked up behind, premeditated, walked up behind Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Health, pumped 2 bullets into his skull, robbed that company of a CEO, a family, 3 kids of a dad, and a wife of a husband, and all of his friends. And now another judge, another squish, mealy-mouthed judge, has now agreed with, I don't know who his defense attorneys are. The same thing is true. They're trying to have the same thing happen in the Tyler Robinson case, which is, get the judge to throw the defense out, get the judge to throw the prosecution out, whatever here. All this is going to do, you're going to make more vigilantes. You're just going to have people go, screw it then. Yeah. If we're not getting justice in trials, then we're not going to wait for trials. You're creating the scenario under which vigilantism is going to come back. It's not going to come back. It's going to roar back.
Well, you are, and there's a lot of concern about whether or not he's even going to be found guilty because people love him. They think that when he was on the run, he was helped by at least a dozen strangers. Because it's very clear, he has a very identifiable face. This is not somebody who blends into a crowd. He's also not particularly tall, which makes it worse in terms of finding him. They believe that many people aided him, told him to keep walking if a police officer was nearby. The facilitation of keeping him out of the police's hands was done by everyday citizens. And that is something that I think the prosecution and everyone is aware of. There is a very good chance that if you bring this to trial, which it will be brought, that he could get off, that people could say, well, I don't know, or he gets time served, or he gets 5 years, or a mistrial. I think this is a case that many people who have been pushed over by the healthcare industry, or they feel like the man has hurt them, they're going to sympathize with him. I wouldn't be shocked if he does not even get close to life.
Okay, and let me just tell you, we talked about the Instagram lunatics. Maggie, what's the name of the guy that the case you were watching the other day? Magdalene, there's a dude who is in prison, convicted of murdering his wife. Dude gets thousands of pieces of fan mail from...
No, he was accused of killing just 2 girls.
2 girls. Two girls. That's even worse. Accused? No, he's convicted. Okay, he's in prison. Dude murdered 2 young girls in cold blood. He's in prison, probably for the rest of his life. Dude gets thousands of bags of fan mail. His name is Wade Wilson from American women. I gotta tell you, something has happened to the American single cat lady or mildly mannered, once apparent cat lady American woman. Something has happened, and they are a scourge. They are a pox on society. I don't know where this is going to wind up, but I think that the image of the Karens didn't even scratch the surface. There's something horrible is happening out there with too many American women.
Well, there is something happening, but I think a lot of that is based on the fact that there's a despotism for strength. So when you have no strength in a society, you look at bad guys as strong. We've seen that happen throughout history. When you feminize all the men and you make masculinity in its traditional good sense bad, women crave it and they go to bad places to find it. So I'm not surprised by that. And the Luigi Mangione thing is also interesting because he has never had no money in commissary. Of course, his parents are wealthy, but women line up to try to see him. They don't let them in, but they try to see him. They send him thousands of dollars. They write him letters. He can receive them. They want him to know he's not alone. So when that's the hero of a young generation of women right now, that's very troubling. And I don't see people talking enough about the fact that he is an example of someone who may not get the justice he deserves because white women love him.
Yeah, it's a vile. It's just repulsive. And this Wade Wilson guy, who was the 2 girls that he killed, Maggie?
One chick he picked up at a bar and he murdered her, and then he went and beat the crap out of his girlfriend, and then he tried to pull her into the car. Somebody helped her, saved her, and then he took off down the road, and this 43-year-old woman was walking to work, and he just decided to pick her up and run her over basically with his car like 10 times. Oh yeah. Now I remember. The dude's tatted from his. He's got Joker smile tattooed on his face. How he's getting him in jail? Guy is an absolute lunatic. So not sure exactly who it is that's sending him this mail, but he is receiving it, and it is disturbing. And he is just demonic. You look at this guy, he's demonic. And I think you're right. I think that women are seeking evil men because they appear to be strong and in control. You're strong and in control while you're killing women. You can't get more of an upside down world than that.
No, you can't, but I really genuinely believe that's what's happening. I think that is where the despotism has led them. And it's not just that. It's like bad boy rappers, celebrities, those kinds of things. We were kind of like post that. We were in people like The Good Guy. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a switch over. I think that's because women are out in the dating pool who are in their 20s, and it's abysmal. And people feel very much like there's no men who will even do basic masculine things. So when that happens, you look for the most extreme correction. People are trying to overcorrect, and it's leading them to sympathize with Luigi Mangione. And then to also add in that he's very attractive, that's a recipe for disaster.
All right, Magdalene, we will talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank all of you for your donations and your contributions to the crowdfunding. To your crowdfunding for January. We hit the number. I want to thank Tim Cermak for being our guest and all of you for joining us this week. Remember, the Founders Trading Post store is open. We got fresh coffee coming in today. So order. Of course, you can continue making your contributions at crusadechannel.com/donate. Upgrade your Founders Pass membership today by logging into your account on the site. Have a safe and blessed remainder of the day. I'll see you for my birthday on Monday. God bless you and Mary keep you.